Four parents, 9 kids, 2 houses. Didn't really wanna talk about this. Four parents, 9 kids, I'm queer. One thing's clear, there's no dysfunction here. Four parents, 9 kids, 2 houses. Didn't really wanna talk about this. Four parents, 9 kids, I'm queer. One thing's clear, there's no dysfunction here.
Babe, hand me a beer.
Hi!
Hello!
Welcome to another episode of No Dysfunction Here.
Whoop!
Today we are recording episode 19.
Yeah!
Wowza.
They've just flown by.
They really have.
It really is. I get excited every time it posts. I'm like, look at that. Look at us growing.
Early!
Wait.
Tell a joke!
Premature.
What has more letters than the alphabet?
Ooh, what has more letters in the alphabet?
Than the
Santa's
alphabet.
mailbox.
Oh.
I was going to say my prison pen pal.
I really would believe that. You should do that for
And she won't write back!
treat yourself.
When's the wedding?
I'd let you know if she'd write
I
back.
thought she was they.
She
They
was, now they aren't.
They is.
I
Okay.
don't think that's...
It was the
sure
correct
about that.
answer. You were close, but it was the post office.
That's pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
Santa's
Why
mailbox
did I know that?
was a good guess.
Yeah. So episode 19, we are talking about traveling as a family. And not just
Whoa.
traveling from our house to the park, like legit out of the country.
Travel.
Ooh.
Go big or go home in this
Yeah.
episode.
And
right.
we did go home after we traveled.
Yeah.
After we
Yes.
went big.
We went
Our
big,
separate
then
home because
went
we live
home.
in 2 homes.
Yes,
We've
that's
taken 2 trips in the last short while, actually,
yeah.
and one was an airplane trip, which is a whole other thing with, a bunch of kids and 4 parents, and then recently we just, what was it, last week? 2 weeks ago?
2 weekends ago.
We went
Yeah.
2
to
weeks.
Mexico
Mhm.
as a family, 4 parents. I
9
don't know how
kids,
many
2
kids.
houses.
Yeah.
Not all
No
of them.
houses came and most of the kids came.
Yes. But we did a car transport. 3 cars.
3 cars across the border into Mexico.
That's
All
a
thoroughly
new adventure.
searched.
Yeah.
That's
It
right.
was fun.
Cough.
Yeah. It wasn't the first cavity search of AJ's,
Yeah, this week.
but it was the most enjoyable.
Yeah. Well, you don't know about all my cavity searches.
Just
you
the ones you were involved in.
He's a fan.
told me that.
Oh,
that
no,
was
I'm sorry.
the-
That's right. I did tell him about how enjoyable it was, so that's on me.
Yeah. So how do we travel together, guys? What can we learn from how we traveled, I guess? What have we learned? What are we still learning?
I think starting like from square one, it's devising a plan.
Yes, and making merch.
Yeah.
That's key.
Tiff's always great with that stuff.
This was our merch for the last trip. Tiff is amazing. creativedesigns.com. I always want to say .org. I'm trying not to get my mic.
/edu.
But this was our merch for this most recent trip for our son Thomas's 19th birthday. And we're very grateful. She always makes us hoodies or t-shirts or something.
Dependent on the weather, yes. It was still a little brisk chill in Mexico, so we did the hoodie route.
It's so nice, too. It's like so soft.
And then
It's my
Jake got
favorite.
us more merch. You're wearing it.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, we have
That's true.
our LLT 2025. They just come right to your door
Yeah. Yeah.
with a giant board of bracelets, and you can customize the color, tell them what you want it to say. I mean,
It's basically like creative in Mexico.
Yeah.
Creative to
To
go
your door.
in
Yes.
Mexico. But yes, devise a plan. Good thinking.
first
Yeah.
and foremost, and because there are 4 parents, 9 kids, it's difficult, in my opinion, to do something that's going to make everybody happy.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, I want to do this, I want to do that, and it's like, okay, how can we make everything that we get the I want to do's fit for a specific trip and not have somebody have hurt feelings?
Yeah, and how do we do that? That's actually a good point. Like with 4 parents and a bunch of kids, how do we decide where we're even going?
So real. I think we're really good at this point in the planning phase. Like, we're all pretty malleable and open for suggestions and all those things. I like what you said about not disappointing people, because I think there's even a deeper layer of it that's really true when traveling, just in general, like in a big group or whatever, but with family especially, is understanding that, like, it's not just you and your vacation, like there's so many other people around that you need to adapt and adjust to and be okay with things and whatnot. And I think it's a family vacation, especially a family like ours, is a great practice in letting all that go, not being offended because you didn't get to do the thing you wanted to do, not being upset or having hard feelings because everyone else didn't want to go to the beach at the same time or whatever it is. It's a great practice in going with the flow.
Definitely. I think as for parents, we kind of all tend to know ourselves and know what our strengths and weaknesses are. And I'm very grateful that the things that I suck at or don't enjoy are things oftentimes that Tiff is really good at, like booking the place and doing the like technical aspects of things. I'm very grateful for that. And we tend to just have an open conversation. And I think the important part of that is that all adults feel valued, like their opinion matters. Because if there's even one parent who's like, oh, they're not listening to me, they don't care about how I feel about this trip, that's going to be a major problem that's going to grow, So it's important to be open-minded and workable, I would say, but also to make sure that we're really giving equal time and value and appreciating each other and being positive in our communication with each other, not being passive-aggressive, not being negative. I think we practice a lot of intention in the way that we communicate with each other, and that helps us keep the lines clear,
Yeah, that's true.
I agree.
I think communication is really good as well. Like, even before the trip, if you're not just going to collaborate as parents and just pick what you think is going to be the best trip to take everybody on. In our experience, we've asked the kids their opinion a lot of the time, and I think it's a good idea to ask them individually, so you just get a one-on-one response. I mean, all the parents could ask one kid at the same time, but you don't want to ask all different kids at the same time and have them hearing each other's input to where that could potentially become an argument right then and there before put a negative light on the trip before it even starts. So if you are going to get the kids' input on what interests them, one says I want to go on a cruise, one says I want to go to Mexico, one says I want to, on this special day Friday, like I want to make sure we're not traveling on that day, and like just all, different people putting different input, and then you go back and collaborate as the parents and decide the best option, and then it's merely an announcement to everybody else. And I do think that it gets easier with the maturity of our children. The older they get, the less selfish that they get naturally. I don't think it's too typical to have a bunch of 5, 7, and 9-year-olds running around as selfless as humanly possible. So the older they get and the more mature they get, and the easier it is to travel together without any negativity.
Absolutely. That's a good point too, like just traveling with different ages. Like the things that are difficult or a struggle when we were trying to travel with a bunch of younger kids aren't necessarily the same, and it adapts and changes and becomes different kinds of issues, and so understanding that, like you're saying, like they've grown and they are maturing, and so have we, and we're maturing and less likely to get frustrated by whatever it is that's going on or whatever it is, but understanding that, different times, different ages, different problems to solve. All right, I think it's a perfect time out because I want to hear two truths and a lie.
Yes.
Perfect.
All right, who's up?
I'm up with two truths and a lie.
Wait, am I guessing? Are these things I don't know?
You probably know them like I knew yours.
Okay.
We know everything about each other. But, okay, I'll try to get you.
Okay.
I had a child who was legitimately kidnapped. I once escaped a date through a bathroom window. And I spent a night partying with a drag queen from RuPaul's Drag Race. What you gonna say? Who knows me best?
I don't know, because I've never heard that any of the kids were kidnapped.
Yeah, I've never heard of any kids being kidnapped. Unless you're counting like me taking the kids without permission or something.
That'd be pretty fucked up.
I don't think you've ever done that.
But you didn't. That one you gave eye contact
I mean,
with.
there was
The
that
third
one
one you gave eye
Amber Alert,
contact
but we
with.
cleared it up.
The
in like
window
15
you
minutes.
didn't.
Oh.
I gotta be smarter with my poker face.
Ooh.
Poker face.
Right, what's it gonna be?
I totally think 3 is the truth because that is something I feel you would totally do. I'm going to say 1 is the lie, the kidnap.
Alright.
Same.
Alright. The lie was I escaped a date through a bathroom window. And Anna was taken once in our apartment complex in Texas. I definitely told you about it, but
I
it was
knew
a
that.
long time ago.
Yeah.
It was a long time.
Yeah. I lived in an apartment complex, and that was the same time I had a legitimate stalker, too, that I never met, that I called the cops on several times. It was very scary. But anyway, there was this little patch of dirt right in front of our door. So I would leave the door open and let Anna play in this little patch of dirt. And there was this guy who had 2 dogs, and he would come and talk to us sometimes, and he had a bit of a creepy vibe, but not really. Anyway, long story short, Anna was out playing in the dirt right in front of the front door, and I had the door open, but I was like cleaning and doing things, and I came into the living room and she was gone. And it was like maternal instinct. I immediately knew where she was, and I did not even know where this man lived, but I went straight to his fucking door. And it was a completely different building. I can picture it now. Like, I was just like, zoom, 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 right to my child. Bang, 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 bang. I was like, don't you fucking take my child. Don't you, what the fuck are you? I was like,
Wow.
and she's standing there, hi. She was just like, I was just playing with the dogs. And I was like, come here. Don't you ever fucking look at me, look at my child. You know, I was like, you stay the fuck away from me and my children. You know.
I remember being on the phone with you.
Did he just
happened.
open the door when you were pounding on it?
He did. He opened the door and he was just like, I was just letting her play with the dogs. I was like, she was like 4 years
She was
old.
young at that
Yeah.
time.
And he took her into his home and closed the door in another building, didn't know this man's name, did not know where he lived, and he had her in his apartment. And I did, yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, I don't have any recollection of that whatsoever.
Yeah, it was I was livid and terrified, you know.
Yeah.
She was just literally right in front of my door.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
But I figured it was the
Wow.
truth because it sounds too much like a lie
It is,
to
yeah.
be the lie.
Oh my God. Yeah, that was a scary
Yeah, that's
moment.
the truth. Not literally.
There you go. And speaking of when the kids were little, thinking about the adventures we went on, you know, AJ and I had 7 kids, all under the age of like 11 and under or 12 and under, right?
Probably 11 and under.
11 and under, 7 kids, and we had 7 seats in our Tahoe, 1 in the middle, so we would have Chandler in the middle seat, and we took many road trips like that with all 7 kids. One time we surprised them and like packed all their bags and packed their Easter egg baskets, and we told them we were just like going to dinner or something, and we drove to Vegas and did an Easter egg hunt in Vegas. That was absolute chaos, but it's a different kind of fun. It's a different kind of thrill, you know? But as far as the 4 parents traveling together, you know, this is more new for us, and we're figuring it out. And honestly, I'm really proud of how well we've done. We went to Albuquerque too earlier this year.
Yeah.
We've taken 5, 6 trips in the last year and a few months. So.
We went to Puerto Rico together a long time ago. But we
Oh,
didn't take
Yeah,
any
the
of
4
kids.
parents.
Yes.
Yeah, we could even cut in a picture.
Turns out we've
We were
always
thinking
traveled
about
well
moving
together.
there.
Yes,
Yeah.
we did take a trip to Puerto Rico. Was that in like 2019 or 2018 or something?
It's 18,
Yeah.
Yeah.
18. It's so interesting.
That
I
was
hadn't
fun.
really thought about it, but we have taken so many trips in the last like year plus. And that Puerto Rico trip, and I'm realizing we do really travel super well together as parents. Like the parental aspect of it, I feel like we've never really had an issue traveling together and figuring how that works.
Yeah, we went to Circus
Oh, yeah.
together. That was
The
fun.
cruise was exactly a year ago.
Yeah, the
Oh
cruise.
yeah, true.
So I think one thing that I did a lot when our kids were little, and now it's kind of evolved, but right as we're getting into wherever we were going, my kids still, as we're driving into the little town of Blanding where my dad and his wife usually live, they'll reminisce about how I would give them like a lecture, like the mom talk right as we're pulling in, like, don't say, oh my God, don't, what were the things? I don't even know. It was mostly like, don't say things that
It's
could
like
be offensive.
Being respectful.
Don't have too much of Granny's root beer.
Yeah,
I
and
ignored
be
that one.
kind to each other, think of solutions. But now we do send text sometimes. It's like that helps us all remember maybe gratitude, or even like ordering at restaurants. Please only order an entree and a drink at this restaurant. No, something like that. Just communication, direct communication, I think is really important. And also reminding everyone, please remember that we show gratitude through our behavior. We show our appreciation through being kind to each other, through being easy breezy and going with the flow. That's how we show our gratitude for something like this.
Yes. Very good points.
Very nice, very nice.
And like a huge shout out to our kids, because the age range, like it doesn't even matter from like Bubs to Chan. Like there's activities, and it's not like the little, sibling gets kicked to the curb, or I just think they get along super, super well.
Yeah.
I'm so amazed by them, and I was even telling Jonah earlier today how amazed I am by his ability to just stay kind and calm in situations, and it is truly amazing that we can travel with all of these kids. They look out for each other. They are kind and respectful to each other. They are flexible, We got to the place in Mexico, and we had 2 condos and a bunch of kids and a bunch of parents. And it's like, okay, who gets the bed? Who gets the bedroom? Who gets the bedroom with the bathroom? Who gets the couch? And those things can be really tricky. It can leave people with hurt feelings. And I'm so grateful for what badasses our kids are, that they can figure things out together and work together to make sure everyone's well cared for. I'm
Absolutely.
Good
grateful.
work, kids.
Yes,
Thank you.
indeed. And I think a huge part of that is just who they are naturally. And there's a part of that some of the things that we've tried to do in parenting have been helpful. Like the idea of finding a solution, when kids are really young, their whole life, and our family figured out solutions themselves, and that means something when you're now 17, 18, 19 and having to figure out who's taking what room and what couch and what bed. And so I think there's an aspect of that too. So good work, everybody.
And even those friendly reminders that you were just talking about. Like, I think, it doesn't matter how old we get and how mature we get and how well we travel with each other. Like, we all have our moments where, some of us are, it's like we take turns acting a fool. I remember we were all playing kickball like a year ago, and, there were a lot of positive moments, but there were a lot of negative jabs going on as well. And Toby's like, bring it in, let's have a huddle. And she kindly and assertively and lovingly ripped all of us a new asshole for the negative remarks that we were making during this kickball game. And it totally changed the vibe for the rest of the game. Like, everybody was kind and loving, and nobody was nobody was being an asshole anymore.
Lots
It was
of laughs.
fantastic.
Yeah.
And, you know, and we were all grown-ups except for like one 10-year-old. Like,
True.
it, you know, it's like we take turns having our negative moments, and we all need reminders to snap out of it and do better.
Truth.
I agree, and one of the things that I think we do well at too is when we have those negative moments, when one of us is acting a fool, we allow that. We allow them their space. We allow each other to be human, and we don't feed it or try and attach ourselves to it. Like, what's wrong with them? Ooh, what's it? And try and like get into someone's business if two people are having a moment that's difficult or something. You know, we say all the time, what you feed grows, what you starve dies. So if you're giving it energy and like trying to feed it, it's going to grow. But to allow, you know, little negative moments to just move through without attaching to them or even resisting them, but just to allow us to, you know, if someone needs to take a moment and go to their bedroom and breathe for a little while, to just allow that, not to judge that or to think there's something wrong or something, just to be human.
Truth.
Agree.
Wisdom on this podcast, I tell you.
And we haven't lost anyone on a trip.
Yeah, knock on
I
wood.
still count heads regardless of how old our kids are. I'm like, all right, we started with this one. 1, 2, 3,
Kevin!
4. Yes.
I always think of Home Alone.
Not happening to this family.
Oh, that's great.
Hey!
Does that mean it's
Question time.
Question time.
Question time.
Do
Yep,
I
it's
pull a
you
question out of
today.
there?
Yes, you do.
There are 5 jokes in there, and
Five?
the rest are listener questions from ChatGPT.
Yes.
Wait, remind me, what do we spin the wheel for?
Davey
That's
real
for
A
the joke.
Okay.
But I just jumped in and did it because I have my cheat
That-
sheets in front of me.
Good. Oh, this is an important one. I haven't read it yet.
Sounds really good.
Okay, this is interesting. What's the dumbest lie you've ever told your kids just to avoid a meltdown? So does that mean like a meltdown from me or a meltdown from my children?
Your own interpretation is the
I
correct
think it's probably a meltdown of a child is
Yeah.
probably what they're asking there.
And it's okay.
I don't
I do
know.
mark this
Put you on the
podcast
spot.
as children can't listen to it.
There you go.
Perfect.
They're all grown up.
I'm trying to
I
think.
don't remember.
I mean, maybe
I don't remember the
That's what I
lies.
was thinking.
I would
Never
never
did.
tell my kids Santa was real.
Here's what I'm sure I've done at some point with my kids, but I couldn't give you a specific instance, is I'm sure that I've recognized like a spot where it's like, okay, they're not even going to understand why the truth is okay, and so I'm just going to say this because that will help them feel okay
Just makes
about
it
why
easy.
we're not doing something or this or that or whatever it might be, just to avoid, the meltdown or like the not understanding that turns into a meltdown. So I don't, off the top of my head, I don't know a specific instance, but I guarantee I've done that. I just
Yeah.
don't know exactly about what.
My parents always lied to us about where the dog went or where our bird went. It's like, oh, it just ran away.
That's
Oh,
good.
it went to live on a farm.
It
Yes.
found its family. It's the damnedest thing, right?
My dad
They just
did
ran
that.
off. Frolicked.
We had bunny rabbits. We had chickens, bunny rabbits, I don't even know what else. And we lived in Mapleton, Utah we were probably like 4 miles from like the mouth of the canyon where we lived. Anyway, our bunny disappears one day and my parents are like, we don't know, it got out, it's gone, whatever, we're like, okay. And then like 5 days later, we're in the driveway playing in one of those little mini basketball hoops, and our bunny comes hopping out, and we're just like elated as kids, like, oh my gosh, Jesus answered our prayers. I don't even remember the bunny's name. The bunny's back, whatever, I came to find out later that my dad literally drove that rabbit miles up into the canyon and let it go because they just didn't want the rabbit. And that rabbit made it back to our house like
Oh
4 or
my
5 days
gosh.
later. It was wild.
That is the craziest shit. If that is true, that's
true.
banana.
That is true.
It's like the
one thing my parents will
It was
corroborate
just a
for you.
completely
That's
different
incredible.
rabbit.
It was a doppelganger.
That's
It was,
ChatGPT.
it was the same
It's
rabbit.
homing
That's
pigeons
incredible.
and rabbits.
He knew
Yeah.
me.
I mean, animals have senses. I mean, it's crazy.
believe it.
Wild.
Well,
So what did they keep the rabbit after that?
I think we did. I think after that they're like, we can't get rid of this rabbit again. They're gonna know something's up, and so
Oh,
we kept the
God.
rabbit.
That's
but I
hilarious.
think they got annoyed because every time it would get out in the yard, it was like impossible to get it back. But it never went away. I don't even know why
Liked
we
its
kept it in a
house.
cage.
yeah.
It was a yard rabbit, you know. Let it
Well,
be
that
in
was
the
a good
yard.
one, babe.
Thanks.
Good job.
Good job, everybody.
Yes, thank you for sharing your
We
input
should get a
and
tortoise.
traveling.
I love those
I
photos.
fully plan on rescuing tortoises when we have a better, because there's tons of tortoises that need rescued. The Humane Society.
One time
yeah.
we were at the park over here and someone had one on a leash. And that's
What? It's the slowest walk ever.
true.
Yeah.
Get that exercise.
Any
We're
other
gonna win
tips
that
and
race.
tricks for travel as a family?
Tips and tricks for travel. It's hard when it all starts with just good attitude. You know, like it starts and ends with it, I think. If you don't have a good one, you're creating problems. If you have a good one, you're letting them roll off your back.
One thing I tell the kids all the time is expectation is the thief of joy.
Yeah,
And
that's a good one.
I think that if you go into a family vacation with that lack of an expectation, then everything's much more easy to handle. The good and the bad flows better. And so setting the expectation for the family up front of, you know, this is the plan, but be flexible, you know. I just think that, you know, monitoring your own and managing your own expectations are a really big part of your own enjoyment in a traveling experience.
Agreed.
So true. It is what you make of it.
Well, good job, everybody. Thanks for being here.
Again, we're
Yes.
still here. Yes.
We're really doing it.
Episode 19.
Really doing it, Harry?
Where's our next trip?
Ooh,
Oh.
might be Vegas.
Might be Vegas.
Oh, it
yeah.
will be Vegas, yeah.
Vegas for Coldplay. All right, everybody.
We'll figure it out.
This has been fun. Next time, we'll be talking about what if your kid happens to not be straight? What do you do? Anything but hetero. What do we do? So we'll be tackling that subject next time.
See you then.
Check you later.
Bye-bye.
Mwah.
4 parents, 9 kids, 2 houses. Didn't really want to talk about this. 4 parents, 9 kids, I'm queer. One thing's clear, there's no dysfunction here. 4 parents, 9 kids, 2 houses. Didn't really want to talk about this. 4 parents, 9 kids, I'm queer. One thing's clear, there's no